Like, we just have to get them doing the basics because not enough of them are strength training and eating well enough for their sport. Like, those are the two things everyone's royally messing up. And it's like, before you worry about like red light therapy or like what phase of period you're in, like, it's too much
But
for our girls.
I'm a big believer that everything starts at the top. Like just fundamental leadership for anybody, if we have any of the parents watching here, the behavior of everybody in a company begins with the way that the CEO or the president behave. If the person at the top is lazy or is full of excuses, that is the culture of the company. Your house is a business, like quote unquote. It is ran like that. The leaders, the parents, and the kids are the little minions that watch the behavior and replicate that. So I'm not surprised when you say that our young girls are not lifting weights, are not exercising. Why? Like, how would they if that's not the example that they have at home?
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to have young athletes that have grit and they have discipline when their parents are jumping from diet to diet, from fad to fad, and they don't follow through with anything? So we're setting these expectations in young athletes, especially parents that are trying to live vicariously through their kids, when the parent themselves don't have follow through on the things that they promised themselves that they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know
So
what I'm saying? So
bad. Yeah.
we can talk all we want about what is wrong with, young athletes, but you cannot, with a straight face as a parent, look at your child and tell them that they have to have resilience and discipline when you don't have the discipline to follow through on the thing that you said that you're going to do, and your kids are watching. You cannot tell your kid to love herself so much because that's the right thing to do when you haven't taken a photo with your child for 2 years because you're too embarrassed about the belly hanging out. You can't tell your kid that they need to eat healthy and they need to plan when you're always scrambling and you're stopping in every single fast food joint because you haven't prepped and you haven't been ready to do the thing. So parents are putting these expectations on their kids without having an honest look at themselves and being like, oh, hold on a second. They're doing this because they don't have any example on how it is the right way to do it. But they don't want to take accountability. And then it becomes the coach's problem. It becomes the teacher's problems. It becomes the colleague's problem. Like it's everybody else's fault, but they don't have that honest conversation with themselves. And that's when that cycle of toxicity continues and perpetuates.
It's really bad. And I didn't even think of it that way, that they're blaming everyone else, but the parents not taking responsibility for their lack of discipline and health and eating well and leading by example. And I think this is so important for offsetting some of the BS our girls are exposed to on social media, because our girls are with their parents every day. So if you can be that example daily, it's going to balance out the BS they're seeing online. Because if you're not that example, then they might listen to that skinny talk influencer and be like, oh, I need to really cut my calories and have like 900 calories a day because this influencer said so. And that's where it gets really dark. And the influencers are parenting the kids.
It's not just that the influencer are parenting the kids. The parents are saying one thing, but their behavior is very similar to the behavior of the influencer on the internet. There is a layer of toxicity. There is a layer of not having the confidence and hiding from the photos and wearing like big sweatshirts and, from time to time saying, even if unintentionally, I'm not going to wear that because I'm too fat. And then you go on the internet and then you have the girls saying, oh, you have to be skinny and here's how you can be skinny. Why am I going to ask advice to my parent who is always saying that she's fat and can't get her shit together? And you have the skinny influencer on the internet that has, quote, all the answers. Who are
Mm.
you going to go to?
Especially as a teen who just doesn't know any better. And
There
then
you
that
go.
influencer, she looks pretty, she has 10 filters on, like, it's just she looks happy and healthy when it's like you have no clue how her health is falling apart underneath.
Which applies to parents as well.
Mhm.
Because I have seen, comments on my social media. Somebody's like, oh, no, like, he's not the example because I eat super clean. And I can tell from the language straight away that then we have the other spectrum of the toxicity on the disordered eating patterns of being like, oh, I eat super clean and everything is non-toxic and
Oh,
everything is like organic and I'm doing the cleanse and I'm like, and my daughter will just like not eat like this. Yes, because you're a freaking psychopath. And then you have taken the extreme and the completely other end of the spectrum. And now your kid is like rebelling and being like, I don't want to be like that crazy bitch. And then they are going the other direction. So it really is about finding that sweet spot, but it all begins with the parent being sane. And if you don't have the example at home, you're going to go to the internet. And then that's when the skinny talk becomes incredibly toxic on the other end of the spectrum.
I can totally see that when girls maybe see their moms or their dads just unhappy with their body or talking about, "Oh, I need to lose so much weight. I'm fat." And then the girl hears that and is, "Well, I'm just going to learn how to not be fat because it's." So it does go to that other extreme too, and there has to be this medium, this true body positivity that the parent is showing.
And they don't understand why they can't be fat because the example that they have is only about the mom feeling uncomfortable and miserable. Not There is no talk about the impacts on their health, the impacts on the performance, the impacts on, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like the focus become on the being fat period, like from a more like vanity
Yeah.
standpoint, rather than how it negatively impacts your quality of life, and that or how it negatively impacts your performance in the case of young athletes. And that's something that we're very intentional in my house with my daughter about the language around food. No, this is good, this is going to give you big muscles, and whenever you have big muscles you're going to be super fast on the pitch. This is the healthy language to use with young kids, because he focus on the performance aspect of it rather than on the appearance aspect of it.
And that's another reason why I like your page is, I mean, even though you did an aesthetic sport, your message is still, hey, like you need to make sure you have your health, you perform well, you feel good. And then as a result, you probably will have the aesthetic, which is kind of the cool thing about this all. If you have that discipline in your performance and health, you'll get the body comp, the muscle mass, you'll feel strong, you'll feel vibrant, and that I truly believe that now after competing this year in worlds, I for track, I just chased both health and performance because I had no choice. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done well. Like I wouldn't have made it. And I think female athletes can have both.
100%. But again, like I know that is a lot of responsibility, but having a child is a responsibility. You know what I mean? And it all begins at the top with absolutely everything. It all begins with the parents. Even on work ethic around showing up. I see all the time, oh my God, my daughter broke, like she's in her jammies today. Like there was a team, a rec team that my daughter was in, and my husband was a professional athlete as well. So our tolerance to like excuses,
I understand. Yeah.
it's like a knife to my soul.
Mhm.
And my husband is the same. Like my husband is even more than me. And like my daughter was in this rec team, and I kid you not, Erica, this parent writes like, "How are you not embarrassed?" First of all, but the parent writes, "Well, this is like 25 minutes before practice, FYI. Well, like such and such is still in her jammies, and it's like close to the holidays, so we're not gonna make because she's super comfy in her jammies." Like, what is happening?
Gosh, I wouldn't have
How are you not
survived.
embarrassed? Like, how are you not embarrassed? Like, how are you, like, the whole role of sports and that positive impact is to teach the skill set of life, like the resilience, the discipline, the teamwork, the learning how to win, the learning how to lose.
And just show up.
And bare minimum, let's freaking show up. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, don't quit, like, finish the season, all those things. I see this happen a lot. Tons of
Yeah.
stories on a weekly basis.
But again, going back to the positivity in the behavior from the parents. If the parents are always finding the excuse to not show up when they said, because it's cold, I can't work out because it's cold. Like, what? Like, how are you expecting to raise resilient kids that will show up even when it's uncomfortable if you're not willing to do that?
Yeah.
It all comes down to the example that is being set.
It's so true, and yeah, it seems like it's becoming more common now. I didn't hear a lot of these stories when I was early into coaching several years ago, but now it just seems like it's normal to for the kid to quit halfway through the season for whatever excuse, or a lot of girls are missing practice now for
Why?
even travel teams, and I'm like, "You made a commitment to a travel team, but you're telling me you're missing 2 practices a week consistently?"
Comes back to don't commit to something that you cannot fulfill. And I think that that's where we have a lot of lessons from sports that can be applied to all the different aspects of life. We're expecting to raise resilient kids when we're not setting the example of resilience, and we're allowing them to just do like act like toddlers, do what feels good. I'm sure that anybody listening, whether you're a parent or whether you are in school, like you don't just do the work that you feel like doing, because otherwise you're going to freaking fail. So you do the work that you don't want to do and that it is uncomfortable because it's necessary to get to where you want to be. It's just part of life. It's a reflection of life. Yeah, practice sometimes maybe sucks, but so be it. You signed up for it. Follow through.
Now, I just want some of your advice for the sports parents because you're really busy yourself, but you still find time to make like health and fitness a part of your family and just set the example for your kids. How do you make it work? I mean, you mentioned, you can get some of these healthy snacks out and it doesn't need to be like Taco Bell all the time. What are some other tips to just really help parents like lead by example and have that true body positivity?
I'm going to begin with saying that I love this question. That's actually what we were talking in the previous podcast. So I love this, like, because my brain is still very much on that like on that vibe. I think that the first thing that we need to understand is that it's going to be uncomfortable. Like it just is. Like if we cannot, whenever your life, like whenever you have kids and you're ascending in your career, accepting that life is busy is going to be the easiest thing for you, like the easiest first step for you to get to a solution. Because acting like, oh my God, I'm like so busy. When were you not since having kids? Because I have two small kids and I run a few businesses, and I cannot recall the last day that I woke up and I was like, you know what? There is nothing happening today. If I ever feel this way, I'm probably forgetting something. So if we're always waiting for the not being busy, it's never going to happen. So then that's when we have to, you cannot keep on doing the same things that you did before. All these responsibilities came and expect to not have something fall apart.
Mhm.
And we have now kind of like still on the theme of toxic advice and toxic positivity is like everybody like not everybody has the same 24 hours. I mean, I have two kids and I'll tend to disagree because last time I checked, every hour still has 60 seconds. And we all have 24 hours in a day. Now, what has changed is the responsibilities and tasks that we have that need to be incorporated into the same 24 hours that we have. So I think that we need to stop focusing on whether or not we all have the same 24 hours because we're not going to change time. We just won't.
Mhm.
But what we can change is what we're saying yes to. And until we're willing to have that honest conversation on all the crap that we put in our schedule that a lot of times might not need to be done by us or might not need to be done at all, is the first step towards being able to stop with that I am too busy excuse.